Close your eyes and picture the Dark Ages. What comes to mind? Perhaps you envision crumbling ruins shrouded in mist. But is this a fair representation of the medieval era? Was this period in history truly deserving of the label dark? To understand how the Dark Ages became such a pervasive label, we need to rewind the clock to the Renaissance. Thinkers and artists of the Renaissance, captivated by the achievements of ancient Greece and Rome, began to view the intervening centuries as a period of stagnation. One of the key figures who contributed to this view was the Italian scholar Francesco Petrarch. He coined the term Dark Ages to describe the period between the classical era and his own time. While Petrarch and his contemporaries reignited interest in classical knowledge, their perspective on the medieval period was colored by their own time and values. This linear view of history contributed to the widespread acceptance of the Dark Ages narrative. The seeds of the Dark Ages myth, sown during the Renaissance, found fertile ground in the centuries that followed. Historians, influenced by the prevailing narrative, often reinforced this negative view of the medieval period. The medieval period became sandwiched between two supposedly more significant eras, the classical world and the Renaissance, and its own unique character was often overlooked. So, if the term Dark Ages is so loaded with misconception, what does it actually refer to? The term itself is inherently problematic, suggesting a complete absence of light or knowledge. In reality, the centuries following the fall of the Roman Empire were far from a historical black hole. The period typically labeled as the Dark Ages, roughly 5th to 10th centuries AD, was undoubtedly one of significant change and upheaval. The collapse of the Roman Empire created a power vacuum in Europe, leading to political fragmentation and the emergence of new kingdoms. These changes, while disruptive, also brought about new cultural influences and interactions. It is crucial to remember that the darkness implied by the term Dark Ages is not literal, but metaphorical. Far from being a period of technological stagnation, the medieval era witnessed remarkable ingenuity and advancements. In the centuries following the fall of Rome, people adapted existing technologies to suit their changing needs and environments. One of the most significant technological innovations of this period was the development of the heavy plough. This seemingly simple tool revolutionized agriculture in Northern Europe. Increased agricultural productivity led to population growth, the emergence of new settlements, and the development of trade networks. The surplus food production also allowed for greater specialization of labor. This, in turn, contributed to the rise of towns and cities, which would become centers of commerce, culture, and innovation. The medieval period was a time of significant technological progress. The heavy plough was not the only agricultural innovation that shaped the medieval world. Another crucial invention was the watermill. These ingenious devices harnessed the power of flowing water to grind grain, freeing people from the laborious task of hand milling. The impact of the watermill on medieval society cannot be overstated. It not only saved time and labor, but also increased the efficiency of flour production, a staple food source for the time. Beyond agriculture, the medieval period witnessed technological advancements in other areas, such as metalworking and textiles. The development of new iron smelting techniques led to the production of stronger and more durable tools and weapons. The medieval textile industry, particularly in regions like Flanders, became renowned for its craftsmanship. The medieval period was an era of ambitious architectural projects that pushed the boundaries of engineering and design. One of the most striking examples of medieval architectural innovation is the Gothic cathedral. These towering structures, with their pointed arches, ribbed vaults, and flying buttresses, soared to breathtaking heights. The development of these architectural elements allowed for larger windows, flooding the interiors with light and creating an ethereal atmosphere. Beyond cathedrals, the medieval period saw the construction of impressive castles, fortified manor houses, and defensive walls. These castles served not only as military strongholds, but also as centers of administration and symbols of status. While the medieval period is often associated with religious dogma and superstition, it also witnessed significant advancements in science and mathematics. Medieval scholars made important contributions to astronomy, medicine, and optics. Building on the knowledge of ancient Greek and Islamic scholars, medieval astronomers developed more accurate astronomical instruments and made significant observations of the night sky. These advancements in astronomy had practical applications in navigation, timekeeping, and even agriculture. In the field of mathematics, medieval scholars made important contributions to algebra, geometry, and trigonometry. These translations introduced new concepts and methods that would lay the groundwork for the scientific revolution of the Renaissance. The image of the medieval period as a time of intellectual darkness crumbles further when we consider the richness and diversity of its literature. Monasteries, with their scriptoria, played a crucial role in preserving ancient texts and fostering literary activity. However, medieval literature was far more than just a repository of ancient wisdom. It was a vibrant tapestry woven with threads of romance, adventure, satire, and religious devotion. The literature of this era reflects the multilingualism and cultural diversity of medieval Europe. This period saw the emergence of distinct literary traditions across the continent, each with its own unique flavor and style. One of the most celebrated works of medieval literature is Geoffrey Chaucer's. This collection of stories, told by a diverse group of pilgrims journeying to Canterbury Cathedral, offers a vivid glimpse into the lives, beliefs, and social tensions of 14th century England. Chaucer's pilgrims represent a cross-section of medieval society, from the noble knight to the bawdy wife of Bath. Beyond Chaucer, the medieval period produced a wealth of literary treasures. Women writers also made their mark on medieval literature. Hildegard von Bingen and Marie de France, among others, demonstrate the intellectual vitality of women in religious orders. The misconception of the Dark Ages as a time devoid of intellectual inquiry is further dispelled by the emergence of universities in the 12th and 13th centuries. These institutions of higher learning, initially centered around cathedrals and monasteries, became vibrant hubs of scholarship, attracting students and scholars from across Europe. The rise of universities marked a significant shift in the landscape of education. While monastic schools had long been centers of learning, universities offered a more structured and comprehensive curriculum, encompassing subjects such as law, medicine, philosophy, and theology. The university system, with its emphasis on logic, debate, and the pursuit of knowledge, would shape intellectual life for centuries to come. Students flocked to universities like Paris, Bologna, and Oxford, eager to engage with the latest ideas and advance their careers in the church, government, or law. The university environment was both intellectually stimulating and socially diverse, bringing together scholars from different backgrounds and fostering cross-cultural exchange. The curriculum of medieval universities was heavily influenced by the rediscovery of classical Greek and Arabic texts. Scholars eagerly translated and studied the works of Aristotle, Euclid, and Galen, integrating this newfound knowledge into their own teachings. The university became a melting pot of ideas, where ancient wisdom mingled with Christian theology, shaping a new intellectual synthesis. Thomas Aquinas, a Dominican friar, sought to reconcile faith and reason, showing they were complementary. His work, Summa Theologica, addresses fundamental questions about God, humanity, and the universe. Drawing on Aristotle, Aquinas influenced Western thought, emphasizing reason and logic. His legacy extends beyond academia, impacting legal and political thought for centuries. The medieval period is often viewed through the lens of the church, and for good reason. The church wasn't merely a religious institution, it was a powerful force that permeated every aspect of life. It provided social cohesion, intellectual pursuit, and economic innovation. Following the fall of the Roman Empire, the Church offered stability and guidance. Bishops mediated disputes, provided charity, and upheld moral order. The Church's influence extended to education, healthcare, and the arts. Monasteries preserved texts and fostered literacy. Hospitals provided care for the sick and indigent. The Church's patronage of the arts left a lasting mark. Cathedrals and religious art inspired faith and instructed the illiterate. Within the sprawling narrative of the medieval Church, monasteries hold a particularly significant place. Far from being isolated enclaves of piety, monasteries were dynamic centers of learning, innovation, and economic activity, playing a crucial role in shaping the intellectual and technological landscape of the Middle Ages. Monasteries served as repositories of knowledge, their libraries housing precious manuscripts that had survived the turmoil following the Roman Empire's collapse. Within their scriptoria, dedicated scribes meticulously copied texts, preserving classical and early Christian writings that might otherwise have been lost to time. This vital task ensured the transmission of knowledge across generations, forming a bridge between the ancient world and the burgeoning intellectual awakening of the Middle Ages. Beyond their role as guardians of ancient wisdom, monasteries were also hotbeds of innovation. Monks, skilled in various crafts and trades, experimented with new agricultural techniques, developed efficient water management systems, and even made advancements in brewing and winemaking. The tranquil environment of the monastery, far from being stifling, fostered a spirit of inquiry and experimentation. Furthermore, monasteries were often important economic hubs, their estates producing agricultural surpluses that were traded with nearby communities. The rules of St. Benedict, which governed the lives of many monastic orders, emphasized the importance of manual labor and self-sufficiency. This focus on hard work and economic productivity contributed to the growth of local economies and challenged the stereotype of monasteries as solely inward-looking institutions. No discussion of the medieval period would be complete without addressing the Crusades, a series of religious wars that spanned centuries and had a profound impact on Europe and the Middle East. While often portrayed as solely religiously motivated, the Crusades were complex events driven by a confluence of factors, including religious zeal, political ambition, and economic aspirations. The Crusades brought Western Europe into direct contact with the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world, exposing them to new cultures, ideas, and technologies. This cross-cultural exchange had a significant impact on European society, challenging existing worldviews and sparking intellectual curiosity. The rediscovery of classical Greek texts, preserved in Arab libraries, would later fuel the Renaissance. The Crusades also had a profound economic impact. The establishment of trading posts in the Eastern Mediterranean revitalized trade routes, bringing new goods and spices to European markets. This influx of Eastern luxuries fueled the growth of cities and contributed to the rise of a new merchant class, gradually eroding the dominance of the feudal system. While the Crusades were marked by violence and bloodshed, they also fostered cultural exchange and intellectual curiosity, highlighting the interconnectedness of East and West during the medieval period. This complex and tumultuous period challenged the simplistic narrative of a dark age, revealing the dynamism and interconnectedness of the medieval world. Our journey through the so-called Dark Ages concludes not in darkness, but in a dawning realization of the era's true character. We've challenged the simplistic narrative of decline and ignorance, revealing a period brimming with innovation, creativity, and profound social transformation. From the ingenuity of the heavy plough and the watermill, to the architectural marvels of Gothic cathedrals, the medieval period witnessed technological advancements that reshaped the landscape and spurred economic growth. By embracing a more nuanced perspective, we begin to appreciate the medieval period on its own terms, an era of profound change, remarkable resilience, and enduring legacy.